It is Friday, and I am tired of reading think tank papers and books. We're going to quit that. We're just going to cover the funny headlines of the week. We're going to do another installment of Friday Release Valve. Leo, are you there?
Hello, Andrew. Yeah, I'm here.
Leo, it is a pleasure to see you coming to us. Are you in the UK or Australia? Where are you?
I'm in the UK. I just got back from Australia. I wish I'd stayed in Australia though. Like it was amazing out there. Like the Australian winter was about 10 degrees warmer than the British summer.
Yeah, that's.
I was staying in Perth. I was going to the beach every day, running on the beach, hiking in the hills. It was just amazing. They haven't really had coronavirus there, so everything was open. Comedy clubs opened the day after I left. So I've come back to the UK, but I won't be able to work for another year or something.
Why did you come back to the UK? Because last I checked, you had gone to Australia, I guess for like the Perth Fringe Festival or something like that. So you're doing like a comedy festival, and then you just got trapped there. And I was like, not a horrible place to be trapped, but you were still working, and you decided to come back to the UK to enjoy the riots why did you return?
In fact, there's coronavirus, there's a race war. It's not very nice. I don't like it.
Well, thrilled that you were able to make that work. And for anybody unfamiliar, this is Leo Kearse, who is the Scottish Comedian of the Year from a year ago, but even funnier than when you won that award. So you were an award-winning, verified, funny Scotsman, and came on my program, I think, just coming up on about a year ago. Because I met you in Edinburgh back when international travel still existed, and
comedy, live entertainment, and alcohol.
Yeah. So wait. What do you, as a full-time stand-up comedian, like what are you doing in the UK? Are you just writing like a ton of jokes, or do you?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of writing. I actually, funnily enough, you mentioned think tanks. I wrote a chapter. I was commissioned to write a chapter on freedom of speech and comedy for this for a right-wing think tank called the Institute of Economic Affairs. So I've submitted the first draft and got comments back. And I mean, it's a crazy time to be writing about freedom of speech and comedy, because I've got to update it every hour. Like they're cancelling TV shows, comedians are getting cancelled and stuff. So it's a really crazy time. These are really febrile times. There's almost a McCarthyist witch hunt against people who aren't woke in the arts. A friend who's a filmmaker just messaged me today. So she used to work for the Institute of Economic Affairs, and she'd read the chapter. She was one of the people that they sent the chapter out to read, and she's just been pulled off. She's just been cancelled from a project she was working on, removed by the producer because she criticised the rioters, criticised people who are burning businesses. She said,
not the protesters, but the rioters.
Yeah, the riot, people are burning businesses, and times are so crazy that's seen as racist. You know what I mean?
Didn't they
shouldn't burn businesses is racist.
Didn't they remove the Monty Python sketch that has Germans in it or something? And it threw me off, because I was like, wait, are they do you guys just have so few minority groups you have to pretend Germans are like a different protected race? It really confused me.
Oh no, nobody was more persecuted than the Germans in World War II. Oh my God, those poor Germans.
Well, I'll go to our first headline. This is in Ecuador. Diego, the Galapagos tortoise with a species-saving sex drive, retires. A giant Galapagos tortoise whose legendary libido has been credited with saving his entire species from extinction has officially entered retirement. I looked into this. Diego is one of 14 other male tortoises that was employed, I gather, more or less nonstop to cronk with the remaining endangered female tortoises, and they calculate that he's produced something like he's sired, I should say. I want to get this right. He sired something like 2,000 giant tortoises, which is about 40% of the giant tortoise population. So, Diego, hats off. Maybe this is unrealistic, Leo, but I hope to one day have enough sex to sire maybe 40% of the human genome. That is one of my goals, is to do that.
Of the tortoise population. Is that what you're...
Yeah, I would like to have
I don't know how tortoises even have sex. They've got like shells. They've got shells. I don't know how that gets out.
My first job was with the Oklahoma City Zoo, and I don't know if they still have.
You've got experience of being a tortoise fluffer.
Yeah. That's exactly. I'd come out. They'd make me like jiggle a lunchbox with the Ninja Turtles on it, and make funny noises and things. No, they I think my first day on the job, They didn't know how old the tortoises were. They just got them, and they could have been 100 years old. And one of the tortoises, they said that when they banged, they sounded like trash cans knocking together, and they would moan. Nice. And that one of them, who was like easily 100, would still have sex, but he'd get like really confused and like mount the wrong end of the turtle, and mount benches and things. And so they have to like come over and like reposition him. They'd have to have like a spotter to try and make it work. So
I see that a lot in porn.
Yeah. That's a good point. This is not something unique to turtles. This is something that involves creative positions in a lot of things. Kudos to Diego. I hope he makes it work. How big of a splash of the human genome do you reckon you'll make by the end?
I don't know. I mean, I'm already pretty old, so I'm not sure I'm going to have any children, and I'm not sure I want children. I mean, I just don't like. Anytime I'm in a relationship. I had a girlfriend. I was seeing a really nice lassie in Australia, and just think we were talking about having kids, and I just didn't want like her to have this this sort of small human like inside her, and then forced out of her They should just come out a hatch or something. Don't make them come out the fun hole. You can't fucking shove that thing through the fucking fun hole. That's bad for everybody.
That's so polite of you. I don't want to impregnate you for fear that the child will the aggress will be too intense. Wait. To go back,
I don't like the whole process of sort of having children like this, and this weird thing covered in blood comes out, and then it's like, and then you got to look after it for like 20 years or something, and it costs loads of money. I can't. There's no part of it that appeals to me.
Yeah. Wait. So can I go back? You were dating a woman in Australia, and how long did you get stuck in Australia?
I was in Australia. So I was in Australia for getting on for 6 months, all in.
So did you like just come home one day and be like, hey, just so you know, they locked down the UK, so I'm living with you for like, we're living together now and we're doing it indefinitely. Like how did that go down?
What happened was I was supposed to go and meet her in Bali, because that's like close to Australia. So I was going to stop off in Bali on the way home, and we'd have a holiday together. And then she thought I might have been chatting to girls on Tinder in Adelaide, because we were in separate cities at that point. So she set up a fake Tinder account with this like hot girl, and like set the location in Adelaide, and I matched with this Tinder account. I was chatting to this fake account, and then the fake account arranged to meet me in a restaurant. So I went and sat in this restaurant like a total lemon, sitting there waiting. This girl's like messaging, I'm just in an Uber 2 minutes away. And then Stacey, the real girl who's like driving this fake account, Stacey messages me going like, you fucking scumbag, you fucking So then I had to like calm Stacey down and say like, no, baby. But then she'd cancelled her flight to Bali by that point. So I was like, well, okay, I'll cancel my flight to Bali and I'll come and meet you in Perth. I'll fly back to Perth in Australia. So I flew back for 6 days, and then I was supposed to fly on. I was supposed to fly out and fly back to the UK. But she said, why don't you cancel your flight back and just stay for another 10 days? And I cancelled my flight back, and then everything
Wait. I'm sorry. So this point, she's mad at you for the Tinder thing, and you were able to talk her down from that and decided to postpone your trip by 10 days. Basically. Yeah.
Well, I'd already gone through, so I went through for 6 days, and then at the end of the 6 days, we were like, we should stay, I should stay longer. And then so I stayed for another 10 days, and then everything went crazy, and there were no flights and stuff. So then I ended up staying for another 3 months.
Okay. All right. Nice. And it worked out okay during the intervening time?
Yeah, it was great, but we got very sort of attached. Then it was very hard, like leaving, because we know we're not going to see each other for a while, or possibly never again.
I went on a date. I went on a couple of good dates, like within 72 hours of the lockdown happening, and I don't think either of us were super wild about the other. But my thought process was, we are not meeting other human beings for months and months. We are our only mutual chance to watch Netflix and have orgasms. This is it. We are the fleshy life rafts for each other. That was not her interpretation. Her interpretation was better to be alone with my dog. And all right. So not in Australia, but near to it. Our next headline comes from New Zealand. Well, I guess it's connected, right? Coronavirus, petition calls on UK to declare war on New Zealand and then immediately surrender. There is apparently a movement in your country, Leo, to declare war on New Zealand and surrender so that the Prime Minister of New Zealand can be the head of government for the United Kingdom, as the people perpetuating the social media movement believe that they have handled the coronavirus much better. I didn't even know this was an option. Like, I think this is actually kind of a cool thing to know about. Like in America, we've got, red team, blue team, and third party. I think there should be a fourth option of like, do you want to be invaded by another country? And I think I would pick Canada just to make them less smug. So that next time Canada wants to talk about how good their pharmaceutical prices are, great, you try and work out Florida. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, try and fix that. How about you? Are you excited to become a New Zealand citizen?
No, I mean, British people love to shit in their own country. I don't know what this, there's this huge British self-flagellation. We always want to shit in ourselves and say how terrible we are. I know that, I mean, obviously more people have died in Britain from coronavirus than like anywhere else in the world, but that's because like we're all old and we're all fat. So, those are the people that die from coronavirus. It only kills unlucky people. And do we really want any of those people around? You know what I mean? But yeah, like, I don't know, like New Zealand, they're all like, oh my God, how did New Zealand contain the coronavirus? Because there's fucking 12 people in New Zealand. There's 12 people in this this fucking Lord of the Rings hilly landscape. Coronavirus can't travel down valleys and across mountain ranges. You know what I mean? That's why nobody's got it. Because like London is like some sort of futuristic. Everybody's crammed into these tiny flats and everybody's like sucking each other's armpits. So obviously any virus is going to hop from person to person pretty quickly. We're a victim. And also we're an incredibly international international country. We invite people in from other countries and we have very open borders, which traditionally has been seen as a good thing by liberal the intelligentsia. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, it's so bad we let people into the country. It's like, make your mind up. A moment ago you're like, oh, we shouldn't have any borders, we should let everybody come here. Nobody's going to New Zealand. It's shit. Like a shit Scotland floating in the middle of the ocean. And it's not even that warm like Australia is. At least Australia's warm.
Yeah, you make a lot of very good points. I've never been to New Zealand, but I think you're right. It's 12 people and about 4,000 sheep. And the ability to lock that down is probably much easier. If in theory, if you were going to invite another country, if you were going to invade and then surrender to another country, do you have a preferred pick?
I mean, France is always an easy one to do because you wouldn't have to fire a bullet. Because
you'd both surrender simultaneously and you just swap governments so that the French would be in charge of you and you'd meanwhile have to run Paris for a while.
Oh, you mean like is this a country that I'd invade and then get taken over by? And
exactly. Yes, this is the social media maneuver. Yeah.
Right. I think probably America. Probably America. I was due to go to Los Angeles roundabout now. Funnily enough, to do shows, and then there's like, is it now or is it in September? They've got like pilot season and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I've got an agent out in LA, and to do that, you've got to get a visa that costs like £6,000-7,000 And so I was, I was ready to do that. Thank God I didn't do that because that would have been money just down the drain.
Oh yeah, you're right. I know a couple of people. Like I was talking to a friend the other night where his buddy came over from Australia to California. I don't remember for the exact gig, but coronavirus happened, and they were like, "That's it, goodbye. We're no longer covering you." And he just had to like leave his apartment and go back because it was like he was there on a work visa via his company, and the company basically shut down and was like, nope, that's it. Yeah, like I think you dodged a bullet there. And so I think the rule should be like, particularly for the UK and the United States, if you can just find somebody to swap with, that's fine. Because I lived in New York for a long time. I love Edinburgh. Everybody in Edinburgh wanted to like spend a year in New York. I wanted to go back to Edinburgh. Just it's cool. Like you and I will do a swap program. I'll go live in London for a bit. You'll live in LA. I've got an apartment in LA. You can just walk into my apartment and take it. Just water. My houseplant's almost certainly dead because I've been gone for a month. If you could put in a new houseplant, that'd be great. That's we'll take over your country, Leo. I feel like that would be an interesting turn of events in 2020. Is if America became the head of the British Empire. Over in Cambodia, Cambodian man kept live landmines as yard decorations. So this is a fella that had about 30, he got in trouble with the Cambodian government. He had about 30 unexploded munitions that he was hanging on trees and things like wind chimes. And and if anybody's unfamiliar, like Cambodia has plenty of landmines in it. So he's not like, this isn't quite as, like, if this were a guy in, say, like, Wales, it would be a bigger statement than it is. But there's a ton of landmines in Cambodia, and like a lot of the locals will sell them. They'll kind of become like demining people. They'll go get them and then they'll sell them. And I think they stopped. Like the government said, you can't sell and buy landmines anymore. So he's like, well, all right, I'll just make them into wind chimes. And I think this guy has an excellent shot at becoming governor of Texas. Like if he can figure out how to get to Texas, and they're like, what happened? I got kicked out for putting a bunch of landmines on my property as wind chimes. They're like, well, now you're our senator. Like, yeah, he would do really well. Yeah.
Yeah, it would it'd make those, piñata parties more interesting. Kids swinging a broom handle around these landmines.
I do wonder though, it's the wind chimes bit that kind of like if they wind chimes are supposed to knock into each other. Isn't that the charm of wind chimes? Like they're not supposed to make whistling noises. They're supposed to chime. And so landmines you would know when there's a strong wind. It would definitely go off when there's a strong wind. My grandfather in Oklahoma, we had in Alva where he's from. He bought there was like a POW base for Nazis during World War II. And so there was this small army base, and he bought like a shed from the army base when it shut down, and they just happened to leave some munitions in it, like some unexploded munitions, and he kept them. And cut to me as teenager visiting my grandpa. I looked down and he was using an unexploded artillery shell as his doorstop in his garage. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, it's fine. I soaked it in a bucket for 3 weeks. And I was like, I don't think that's how that works. Like, I'm pretty sure they're airtight. Yeah. I don't think that
it's not a potato.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not porous. That's one of the things you could say about good old American-made munitions is they're not super porous. And he was using it as a friggin' doorstop for 30 years. And you know what? It still didn't kill him. So good job on him.
Yeah, but it does happen in Cambodia. There's still all this unexploded ordnance out in the fields and stuff. So yeah, so people do still get it. And yeah, when they're selling them at markets, I guess people are buying them, taking them home. Some kid comes along, looks in the stuff, bangs 2 landmines together. Mm-hmm. It's dangerous.
So I went over there about a year before I met you, Leo. I was at the China International Stand-Up Comedy Contest / Festival in Beijing, and I met all of the comedians in Cambodia. There are 2. I am now friends with 100% of the comedians in Cambodia, and I flew to Phnom Penh and hung out with them, did some stand-up, and then I kind of just toured around Cambodia. There's a ton of unexploded stuff in Cambodia. We carpet bombed the hell out of them during the Vietnam War. We literally dropped more bombs on Cambodia than we did on Germany during World War II. We just like Nixon just unloaded on them, and not all of them blew up. And there's also a ton of those landmines. I went and hung out. There was a charity group that they train German shepherds to go look for them, to smell them, and then drop a ball on them or something, and then they can come get them out. And then, but they're kind of all over the place. And like I had a moment where I went out to look at some really ancient Hindu temple, and I'm going out and when you're out there, there's just not a lot of public bathrooms. And so you'll ask locals hey, where's the bathroom? And they'll just kind of vaguely gesture to the forest. And you're like, all right. Yeah. So I went out in the forest, and then I came back, and the same locals by the way, don't go into the forest because there's a bunch of unexploded landmines. And I was like, man, that would have been a great way for me to die, is taking a shit. And I just drop trout and explode in 800 pieces because I didn't think about that. Yeah. Good luck, Cambodia. Good luck, Cambodia. So over in my country, in the United States, U.S. Attorney says eBay executives harassed Natick couple, town in Massachusetts, over newsletter, sent them porn, funeral wreaths, live insects, and a pig mask. So from what I can tell, there's a couple in Massachusetts, and they wrote a newsletter critical of eBay. I don't know what was in it. But according to them, and at least the U.S. attorney that's now prosecuting eBay, a conspiracy of 7 high-ranking eBay people started sending them weird stuff, including boxes of quote barely legal porn, insects, maybe snakes, weird things like that. They told people that they'd go on message boards and say that swingers like to meet there. And I'm looking at this going, does this mean I get free pig masks and pornography if I criticize eBay? I feel like there's a way to game that system.
I was going to say, that's pretty much what I buy. That's my buying list when I'm drunk. You know, when like stuff arrives on a Wednesday and you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, I got drunk on Friday. And then, I ordered pig masks and barely legal pork.
Yeah, if only we knew that this was available. Yeah, I think people look the gift horse in the mouth too much. Like, did you watch Breaking Bad? Did that make inroads in the UK?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so there's a scene that I don't even remember the scene, but it's apparently really iconic where someone's delivering money to Walt in Breaking Bad, and so they fling a pizza full of money onto, or like a pizza box that has money in it, onto his roof as the clandestine way of doing this drug deal. So in real life in New Mexico, the couple that actually owns that house ended up selling their house because it became a tourist attraction where people would come by and they'd fling pizza boxes on the roof, and they got so sick of it. And I read that and I was like, you morons, you had a pizza roof. What is wrong with you? Like that and touching a girl were all of my fantasies at age 12. Were a roof that would magically produce pepperoni pizza. Like I would try and build a flap and like maybe a bullseye, and then just like, oh good, like thump thump sounds like sausage. Like
you could have like a holograph roof, and the pizza just falls through into your lap.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, come on, people.
And it would be worth the expense of installing a holograph roof, and also the impracticality of having a roof that isn't actually waterproof.
Yeah, no, I think so. All right, final story. In Austria, man fined for farting with full intent at police. A man in Vienna has been fined 500 euros for breaking wind loudly in front of the police, a move that the Austrian capital's police force was at pains to defend on Tuesday. The Österreich newspaper reported that the fine stemmed from an incident on June 5th, and the offender was fined for offending public decency. City police wrote on Twitter that, of course, no one is reported for accidentally letting one go, but they added that our colleagues don't like to be farted at so much. I read the story of a man being fined $565 or so for farting intentionally towards police and thought, Austria needs to be 20% more Italy, and Italy needs to be 30% more Austria. That's my take, is I think like Austria needs to tone it down, Italy needs to tone it up.
Austria's got into trouble before with, petty bureaucrats, coming up with the rules and enforcing them too hard. If history's taught us anything, is that Austria can just chill out with the rules a little bit.
Yes.
This farting thing. My mate actually he was picked up by the police when we were students and we're just drunk, and he said something to the police, something not particularly bad or anything. He was wearing a wig and stuff, but he got picked up by the police and put in the back of their car. And so we were waiting for him to, see if they're going to take him off, arrest him or let him go or whatever. And then he got let go. And he said he farted in the car. He said he farted in the car and it smelled really bad. So that it can work in your favor. It can work. It can be a useful way of getting out of police things. But I wonder if it's COVID-19 related, because apparently it's spread by fecal matter. So the Department of Health has been, giving out leaflets saying don't do any rimming. They've been trying to promote glory holes.
Wait, what?
Glory holes as a means of having sex without, passing on any diseases.
Man, good job, National Health Service. That is, you guys are light years ahead of our CDC. I haven't seen Dr. Fauci talk about glory holes at all, not once.
I wonder if this guy got done for breach of the ring piece.
I'm thinking So you're thinking he might have been like bioterrorism is actually what it wasn't. It wasn't so much public decency as getting in trouble with all that. I do think you're right about Austria could just ease up a little bit on regulations like so when I worked for Congress back in DC, Washington has open embassy day for all of the European embassies, and you can just go in and hang out and everything. And my buddy and I had bought tickets to a wine tasting at the Austrian embassy, and it was for 2:00, and we just got caught up and stuff. And we got there at like maybe 2:18. So we walked in and went, hey, we know that we're late for the wine tasting. Can we just saddle up and we'll start on whatever you guys are on? You're probably on Muscat now instead of Merlot. That's cool. We'll just skip the other stuff. And the guy went, No, I see. The tasting started at 2:00, and it is now 2:18. And I was like, oh no, I get that. I get that. I understand that we're late. I'm just saying, why don't you just we'll just start, mid stride. And he's like, no, I don't think you understand the problem. The problem is that the event started at 2:00. And I'm like, no, I get that. And like we had a back and forth that he's like, hold on. And he gets like the commandant or whoever's in charge of the embassy to come over, and they like talk in fevered German for a second. And then the commandant turns to me and he's like, yeah, okay, I think I see the problem. I think I see the misunderstanding here. You see, the event started at 2:00 and it is now 2:20. And I was like, yes, they wouldn't let us in. We didn't get any wine at all. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
My God.
But
that's I've noticed that in some European countries, like Sweden as well. I was doing some shows in Sweden, and I did one at this casino. And I said to the casino, the guy running the show, I was like, "Can I get a beer to take on stage?" I normally just have a beer with me on stage. Just it just relaxes me a bit. It's like a prop. It's just I feel comfortable.
It makes you look more casual for people up there.
Totally. And if I get a dry mouth, I can. Which there's a chance of dying on your arse.
You want to take a beat and not make it awkward. All of that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, can I get a beer? I'm happy to pay for it, whatever. I'm not like saying give me a free beer or whatever, because I'm performing. He's like, no, you can't have one, and I'm like, why? I'll pay for it. And he's like, no, because you're an employee. You're an employee, and you're not allowed to drink. As an employee of this casino, you're not allowed to drink. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not driving the bus. I'm telling dick jokes. There's like, I can do this with like a sip of beer, and they refused to get me any beer. And then when I came off stage, they said, "You're no longer an employee. Here's your beer."
Wait, so are you're magically an employee while you're on the stage, but then as if you're crossing the threshold into Narnia or something, you step back and you're merely Leo again?
Yeah, I've retired. I've retired from the casino business. Did
you know in Edinburgh that there's like an 8-foot square area on the castle esplanade that is legally Canada? I don't know how widespread this stuff. Yeah, okay, so I know this because I was a tour guide in your country for a little bit, and under English law, historically, if you are going to become a duke, or you're going to be created a duke or a baron or whatever, you go to wherever the king is. You go to Windsor Palace, right? And then you kneel and the arise, Lord of Gloucester. Under Scots law, it didn't work that way historically. Under Scots law, because the king wasn't the king of Scotland, he was the king of the Scots. He was the king of the people, not the territory, as I understand it, right? Yeah. So the king would come to you to make you the lord of wherever your area was. And that's fine. That works pretty well up until Scotland establishes Nova Scotia over in Canada. And so when the king of the Scots wants to make a baron of Halifax, he now has to physically go across the ocean. So he had a bunch of dirt carted back from Canada and just dumped it on the castle esplanade, and he went, bam, Canada. And that legally became Canada. And so I've theorized that if I ever am about to get run out of your country, if I can find that designated spot and run there, then I am on Canadian soil and can hide out for a bit. So that's my defense strategy in the event that I'm about to get
it's like an embassy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Leo, I think we have worked through literally all of the relevant headlines of the week. I can't think of anything else. If you've listened to the whole podcast, you are now completely up to snuff on the news. Where can people find you, Leo?
Oh yes, so the best place is just on YouTube. So I'm on YouTube as Leo Kerse, and on Twitter as well, Leo Kerse. And find me out on YouTube. I've just 7 more people, and I'm at 5,000 subscribers.
Nice.
So I just want to get to 5,000 subscribers.
I suspect that you'll get some. And I know that last time everybody found you hilarious on the podcast. I got great feedback about that.
Nice.
I'll say that the best feedback I got, because there are a lot of polite, respectable people that listen to the podcast who normally eschew swearing, but they found you saying the word testicles so hilarious. There's something about like your innate humor filtered through a Scottish accent that just completely obliterated any concerns they had about words. So you've punctured through our puritanicalness over in the States.
Yeah.
Well, Leo,
I think people understand that for Scottish people, it's not swearing, it's punctuation.
That's right. It's just grammar. You got to understand that. Yeah. Well, good to see you, Leo. Thank you.
Great to see you, Andrew. Cheers.